us. So during our internal discussion and the voting, we have concluded that you are now the EPSA president for 2022-2023. Congratulations. PC has received 2 applications. First one submitted was from Marlene Steininger, proposed by AFOP Austria, seconded by Anne France. The second application was by Katie Bremers, which was proposed by KMPSV the Netherlands and seconded by GPSF Greece. This was the order that we have received the applications. So first of all, I would like to ask Marlene to come up front and present her 3-minute speech.
Marlene, DPI candidate. Dear General Assembly, as you have seen my plans in the nomination form, I will not repeat myself. However, I would like to stress my motivations and my goals throughout the mandate. My current position as Secretary General is very hard facts and outcome focused, and I'm looking forward to going back to working with members more directly. Having had the opportunity to lead executives and teams before, I'm excited to work with the internal department and support the coordinators in their journey. To me, my priority is also to make chairpersons feel more welcome to the team. Since they only join for half a mandate, I want to show them that they are also a part of the EPSA team. The Vice President of Internal Affairs is also the official Vice President of the Association. This means not only supporting the President in his day-to-day tasks, but also taking over whenever he's unavailable. As you know, this year we lost 2 executive members, which meant that I had to take over tasks that were outside of my portfolio. Therefore, I'm confident that in my ability to adapt to situations quickly and step up whenever needed. I believe I have also shown you this year that I'm always available to help and go above and beyond to make sure that the team's common goals are reached. Let's not forget, in the end, that members are the reason EPSA can exist in the first place. We cannot know what is best for EPSA if we do not listen to members and their concerns. This is why I not only plan to be approachable to you at all times, but also proactively try to bring less active members closer to EPSA. Starting with being approachable right now, I'm looking forward to receiving your questions.
Thank you, Marlene. Next, I'll move on to AFOP Austria with their 1-minute speech.
Annika, AFOP Austria. AFOP is honored to propose Marlene as VPIA. We are certain that her past experience as section, as local president of AFOP Graz, and as LS have provided her with the knowledge and skills needed. As local president, she always had an open ear and offered a helping hand for her team, but also for the national team. She has proven to be always ready to motivate new members to join AFOP. Moreover, she helps to build up a new local team in Salzburg. During the last year of her work for AFOP, the national president wasn't able to obtain all projects, but Marlene didn't hesitate to take over these and proved to be a great support for the national team. Thus, we assure everybody that she will support everyone as needed according to her capacities. Therefore, we as AFOP are certain that she will fulfill her role diligently. Thank you.
have Anne France, your secondary speech.
To Anne France, dear General Assembly, with this speech I would like to plead the support of Anne to Marlene for the position of Vice President in charge of internal affairs. Within EPSA, she is known as a motivated and hardworking liaison secretary by being 2 times in a row LS of the Year. What a better and more important way to know how to communicate and engage as LSs. Her 2 mandates as LSs allowed her to gain a clear and solid view on the EPSA team functioning. This year, Marlene has been an outstanding Secretary General. In addition to performing all of her duties to perfection, she has been able to catch up on the backlog of the past few years. Being part of the executive has strengthened her excellent time management, team management, leadership, communication skills, and an advanced knowledge of EPSA. All this accumulated leads us to support Marlene as the ideal candidate for this position.
Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Kati to present her speech. Kati?
Kathy, Vice President of Internal Affairs candidate. Thank you for all considering my application and for giving me the chance to present myself here to the GA. Ever since my LS position, I've been amazed by the position of Vice President of Internal Affairs. My VPIA was always checking up on us and making sure that we were assisted wherever necessary, which made us become the best LS we ever could. Then I continued as an events coordinator, and I learned more about EPSA, about the Internal Affairs Department, and about the EPSA General team functioning. This only made me more excited for the position of Vice President of Internal Affairs. My only holdback was that I wasn't sure if I would be able to combine it with my university, but after we had a lot of contact, I'm sure, and they gave me a green card, that I will be able to combine this position in exec with my university. And aside from that, I do not have any other responsibilities which will help me. I think it's an essential part of the position to be in constant contact with the president and to make sure that the team is managed successfully so that they can all run, so that all activities and events run smoothly and that we can actually promise or deliver the promise that we make during our election that we will be able to bring EPSA forward in their position and tasks. As LS, another really important task is that you are in constant contact with the LSs. And from what you've heard from the RCs is that our communication has been going very well, and this is essential as well for the Vice President of Internal Affairs position. Another really important point is that you have to be super proactive. And also as events coordinator, this has been proven because we have received 4 bids for EPSA events, and this would have not happened if you are just not proactive, if you do not have a proactive attitude. In my application, you could have also read about my ideas and how to bring this position further. I believe that as executive, you need good time management and team management skills, and as Vice President of Internal Affairs, additionally, you need social skills like active listening, empathy, and also problem solving. Both as LS and events coordinator, I've been in a lot of contact with the LSs, and therefore I also know how to contact them well and how to make sure that that our communication runs smoothly. Both LS and events coordinator and VPIA are super social positions, and they don't really have projects, but they mostly just have social team management. I therefore want to continue within the Internal Affairs Department to make sure that there's provide continuity and to make sure that no information is getting lost, as knowledge transfer has been a problem in the past within EPSA. Therefore, I believe that my past positions have given me the required skills to successfully proceed in this position, and my love for EPSA as well as my love for the LS family will make me move EPSA forward, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you would have.
Thank you, Kati. Then we have the MPSB, the proposer speech.
Ik KMPSV the Netherlands. We are very excited to propose Kati as the new VPIA for this mandate. As we all know, Kati has done an amazing job this past year as events coordinator, which has not been unnoticed, and I would like to highlight that during this GA, not only the previous AC in Lyon, the coming AA in Athens and Spain, but also the SU have expressed their special thanks to Kati for her work. And of course this is because she was a great help during this year, but it was also because she was so passionate and enthusiastic that made her super approachable, which is why they were able to ask for this help. Having empathy is very important for a VPIA, but they should also have good time management and team management skills. Kati has previously demonstrated these skills significantly when she took on the roles of LS, NIMP coordinator, Twin coordinator, and APR for the KMPSV. Prior and after that, she has taken part and led many committees in both the local and national association, which she has been able to combine with her studies, and therefore we believe she can proceed to apply these skills as a new VPIA.
Thank you. Then we have a secondary speech by GPSF.
Dear General Assembly, GPSF is honored to support Catherine's application to the position of the Vice President of Internal Affairs. Throughout the past mandate, while collaborating with our RC, Cathy has always been very approachable and supportive, a valuable and fundamental for the position of VPIA. It is a position highly based on communicating and motivating all EPSA members. We believe that Cathy's past experience in similar positions, both at the local level as an LS and as an active EPSA coordinator in the internal department, last mandate has allowed her to have a full overview of how the department and the team in general work. Her organizational and time management skills are essential for a position with such high workload, and these skills combined with her dedication and motivation to bring fresh ideas and upgrade the position to the benefit of EPSA make her an excellent candidate for this position. Thank you.
Thank you. And with this, we open the floor for discussion and for questions to the candidates. The first candidate that will answer the question will be Marlene, and first we'll have Hazel.
Valentine of Switzerland, thank you very much for both of your speeches. I wish you the best of luck for both of you. And so our question is, as the VPIA includes the interaction with LSs, we wanted to know what is your concrete plan to increase overall the activity of LS?
Marlene?
Marina, VPIA candidate, thank you for your question. So I think, and you will probably hear this with a lot of my answers, important is a very individual approach, because every LS has a different member organizations behind them, and every LS needs different kind of support. So what I would propose is to be close, understand their personal struggles, and not try to solve common problems, like to have a common solutions for individual problems. Regarding specifically inactive or less active members, if the LS is not answering or it has very little answers, we also have contacts from other, the president and other contacts from the member associations, and they can also be used to reach out to find out if there is anything from EPSA side that can be done to further start discussing any activeness in EPSA.
Cathy, Vice President of Internal Affairs elect. I will not repeat myself. Oh, sorry. Oops. Well, I didn't say this earlier. I don't want to repeat what Marlene said. I do agree with the individual approach, especially from my experience as events coordinator. I got surveys where there were like hardly responses after just emailing, and when I messaged them all individually and asked how they were doing and whether they are struggling with filling in the form or whether they could just fill it in, I got twice as much responses. So the individual approach is super essential for this position. And additionally, I have a lot of ideas on how to make the LS family more involved and engaged, but this will also highly depend on what the LSs are up to. For example, I would suggest, I could provide like daily deadlines or weekly deadlines with what they have to do, ask about how they are doing. I don't think from my side this will have a high workload. But again, I would like to make them more engaged, but this is up to the LSs. Making videos about what their daily life looks like would seem like an idea I would have liked as a LS. But I don't know. I want to feel like I want to take your consideration into account to make sure that I can really live up to the expectation and do what you guys want, and not just implement ideas that I have for this position, because you guys might not agree with my vision, and therefore I think it's better to just really ask you guys what you want to do, and then take that into consideration and make a plan.
Then we have PPSA.
Okay, so following up that question then, in your opinion, what is the most important type of support the VPIA can give an LS so that they can be the most successful with their role? Thanks.
First to respond is Kati. Vice President of Internal Affairs candidate. I think the most support that Vice President of Internal Affairs can give is just generally always being approachable, so that they at least have the feeling like they make the gap smaller. They should not be afraid to approach you. Any questions they should have, you should be the first contact. We have the Broadening project. We have a lot of other projects that can help make the gap between the LSs and the team smaller. But especially being there, asking how they are doing, so that there's an initial bond. For example, with the LSs that are currently in place, I would like to talk, if I'm elected, to at least know that I am there for them if they need, if there are problems on a national level, local level, or whether there are personal things that are influencing their tasks as LS. It's just important to know who they are, what they want, and what they would like to have in this position, because everyone's goal for the position is different, and we should take into account what you want to reach as LS, because this will depend on how we can help you, and if we know this, we can help you become the best LS possible, or help you also further bring EPSA to your students.
Thank you. Next, Marlene, please.
Marlene, VPA candidate. I would firstly, of course, also find it very important to make them feel welcome, because if you don't feel welcome in a group as the LS family, you're less likely to be engaged, to reach out to others, either other LSs or VPIA or anyone from the EPSA team. But I would also like to add that information is very important, because if you start with very little knowledge about what your position is actually about, which has happened in the past, you don't even know where to start, which can lead in a very, very fast drop in motivation or activeness within members.
Next we have Abed.
This is Abed Portugal. I would like to ask you if you have to define one main priority for your mandate, what will it be?
Marlene, VPA candidate. I would define the main priority as having a common goal. Having a common goal within the team to work towards one, so that we're not a group of people, but actually a team. Having a common goal so that everyone in the LS family also knows what's going on. And also having a common goal within everybody, that we know which direction we go regarding advocacy, regarding public relations, our external image. Just everybody seeing in the right direction.
Kati, Vice President of Internal Affairs candidate. My main priority will be overall mental health, whether it is of the LSs, whether it is of the general members, whether it is of the EPSA team. Mental health is super important, and EPSA is focusing a lot on mental health, but we are all combining our studies with a position within EPSA, and this is not always easy. And whether it is for team members or for the LSs, sometimes it is difficult, and we need to acknowledge that it sometimes gives problems, and that mental health should be a priority. As a team, it's especially important that we have to succeed in what we do, but whether we can switch in a bit in positions. If someone is struggling, the whole team should help out. We don't have positions, we have one team. One team should be there to make sure that everything is being done, and if one person cannot do it, it should be done by someone else.
Then we have Hester.
Andrei, first from Romania. I would like to say that the collaboration between the treasurer and VPIA is also really important, and I'd like to ask you how do you plan to engage in the relationship between these two positions?
Kati, Vice President of Internal Affairs candidate. Well, I believe every position in the EPSA team needs to have good collaboration. Regarding the treasurer, I think most communication will be done generally within the exec, because the Vice President of Internal Affairs is really focusing on the members, and the treasurer is really focusing on finances, so they are really different in position. But additionally, the whole executive should function as one, and the whole team should function as one. Communication is key in this, but and aside from having getting to know each other first on a personal level, making sure that there's a good communication, and making sure there's a good task division. How does every person want to be approached because this might depend per person. And once we know that and establish that in the beginning of the mandate, I feel like collaboration will improve. And if problems ever arise, this should be discussed and put out in the open.
Thank you. Next, Marlene.
The leading EPA candidate. Currently, I am closely collaborating with the treasurer because I am also we're both part of the administrative department, which is often overlooked as a department, but still needs to closely work together. So I am already experienced in working together, dividing the tasks, having clear communications, clearly structuring what are the plans and also how do we achieve those. Of course, agreeing that also on the personal level, the connection should be there and that it is important for the whole executive to work together. But especially regarding treasurer and EPA, I think making sure that everybody has the same information and that no one gets in any conversation is kept out of the loop is a good first step to open up a successful collaboration.
Thank you. Next on the speaking list, Philip Spain.
Andrei, first of all, thank you for your applications. As I saw on both applications, you have a really wide experience here in EPSA, and I would like to know how it will help you to prepare for this new position. Thank you.
Marlene, EPA candidate. I think knowing where a project comes from is very important in knowing where it can grow, because me being part of the knowledge transfer working group, and also having many years in EPSA, I saw a lot of circles, a lot of discussion being repeated. And this, if you already know this happened, if you know what happened before, which was tried out, and which is also some new ways you can collaborate or you can evolve the project, helps in furthering any project collaboration or intent and goal that EPSA has, because we don't stop while we're repeating the same circle that we already did.
Thank you. Next, Kati.
Kati, Vice President and Internal Affairs candidate. I think within this position it's super essential to be a social person, to have social interactions, because honestly every position in the exec is equally important for knowledge, for everything, but especially the Vice President of Internal Affairs should be there for the contact with the members. This is the position that every member should be able to approach, whether it's during events, whether it's during online presence, and this is the position that every member of the team as well should see as one of the first people to approach. Whether they are incurring problems with the Vice President or with any other team member, you should be open there. And I think that the social skills and the problem-solving skills I gained during my LS mandate and my events co-mandate really helped me, and I have a super clear overview of not only my position, but also the other positions in the Internal Affairs Department, because I've worked with them closely, especially for organization of events. Even though we don't have many common projects, I feel like I know everything I should know about the department.
And on the speaking list, we have CBSA.
Hi, CBSA Croatia. First of all, thank you for your application. I would like to know, since from personal experience, I know that some LSs can have a really bad handover and just be thrown into the water, so to say. Can you elaborate a little bit what your plan would be to ensure a good handover, or to just tackle the problem as such? Thank you.
Kati.
Kati, Vice President of the Internal Affairs candidate. Actually, this is one of the main focus points of my year. I would really like to focus on the LS handover, because from previous mandates I've seen that in general the LSs that have a good handover have a really clear view of what the position means in the beginning of their mandate, while the people that are kind of like dropped into position really are enduring it, like having a really difficult period to get into the position. So as you could have seen in my application, I really want to focus on this and things that I could do, like as Vice President of Internal Affairs, you have a spreadsheet and you know when the LS mandate is ending. You could check up every month which LS mandate is ending now, follow up with the current LSs. Hey, did you already find a predecessor? Who is going to follow up on your tasks? How are you planning to deliver the handover? And then also implement this in the new LS meeting. So for example, have one part with the old LS, how did you take care of the handover? And then still providing all of the information, but also taking into account what they have already noticed during the mandate. And then also you still in contact with your successor or predecessor, and how did they help you? Really evaluate the whole process so that it can be improved.
Marlene, VPA candidate. Apart from keeping the neoLS trainings, which have been proved to be very useful, and also during this 50 meeting, we discussed what can be improved, what can be added, and also keeping this feedback in mind, asking LSS what the feedback for those is, and having them more involved and having more focus on really getting a good start. I think we as a team discussed the handover in since basically the 4th team meeting, and we had a lot of good opinions coming up, we had a lot of good feedback, we had very good points to tackle, which can not only be used from our team to the upcoming team, but also can be used from LS to the next LS. What I would do apart from, I won't repeat everything Kathy mentioned, because we clearly know we come from the same generation of LSs. I would, whenever a new project is coming up or an email thread is opened, poke new LSs. Do they know what's going on? Do they understand what this email is about? Do they need any further information?
We have noticed a direct from Asif.
I put it direct as it is still in the same theme. Does that work?
State, then we can figure out.
Valentine Asif Switzerland. Still towards when there are new LSs implementing, are you planning on taking into consideration that there are already inactive LSs that probably won't be able to provide an active or a good handover?
That is a new point, and
are you still in the...
Okay, that's a new point. So we will put you at the bottom of the speaking list, and we will move on to... We have noticed BPSA. Do you... Okay, then next we have BPSA.
Olivia PPSA Poland. There were changes done to the body program this year, also mentioned by Karolina in her report. We want to ask if you have any thoughts on this, if you would maybe change some things further. Thank you.
Marlene, DPA candidate. We discussed the outcomes and how the body project went during the 50 meeting as a team, and during the RLS and ODs meeting, like right before the start of GA. So I would definitely take this into account. Maybe the quickest point mentioned, the switch from mandatory, like being mandatory in the body project to having it non-mandatory proved to be very useful and for both sides. So I would definitely keep that. I would also strive to have the value allocation sooner, to actually start to push contact in August, then follow up whether it was really done in September, so that in October or November, depending on when the AC is happening, this year in the beginning of November, they can already meet up in person and bond, because meeting up in person is always more efficiently or always better to bond than online. And also, as a last big point that was mentioned, giving, since it is mandatory, is not mandatory, giving people the opportunity to join later and pairing them up later. Not all LSs have the same change mandate. So if the predecessor of the LS does not work the body project at the beginning of the year, this doesn't mean that they can't join later. Same with team members who feel overwhelmed in the beginning, but later see that they would like to bond with members more.
Thank you, but please keep it the limit of 1 minute.
Kathy, Vice President of the General candidate. Well, clearly from my answer, you will see that we have been in the same team meetings and meetings, because basically a lot of my points have been already mentioned. Making sure that the LS body or that the bodies are allocated before the event, because then maybe you can have like a small meeting beforehand, and you can get to know each other. And then if you have small questions, you don't need the introduction during the event, because you have already had it beforehand. Additionally, also making sure that people can join later, and that they can also, like the team members can join later, because sometimes it's difficult for team members, because for example, some mandates are like ending in December, and then the LSs are actually already more involved than the team members who just started their mandate, and that's quite difficult for the team members to provide all the information because they feel like they should know everything going on within EPSA, but it's also really about the social part, about being in the, about making connections between the LSs and the team, but still they might feel really not knowledgeable about the position, and therefore it should be possible for them to join whenever they want.
9.3.
Second. We have a 9.3 proposed by EPSA, seconded by, let's see, EPSA International. So now we will have, we will open the discussion on 9.3. Apple.
Josué, in Portugal, we still have some questions that we would like to see answered.
I would like to see more emotion cards in these, whether you agree with Apple or not. I see general agreement, so with this, I proceed. I go through the discussion and I proceed to voting on the 9.3, whether you would like to close the discussion on the election of the Vice President of Internal Affairs. I'll open the floor for discussion on, no. I open the floor for discussion on the 9.3 and we'll proceed to voting on the 9.3. So, who's against the 9.3? Thank you. Who abstains? Who's for? So I have 1 abstention, 3 against, no, 3 for, sorry, and 19 against. The procedural motion was not carried, so we'll resume to the speaking order. Next, we have Susan.
You've already mentioned that you're working as a team and this is very important for you. So we would like to know what would be your team building strategy for the team as Vice President of Internal Affairs. Thank you.
Kathy, Vice President of Internal Affairs candidate. We have discussed within the team having like a handover weekend. We aren't sure about that, but that was discussed and it would be a really good start, but especially like maybe providing the team with the possibility to go to the summer university team meeting 1 day beforehand so that we can all get to know each other before we really start discussing our projects. Because as the first day of the team meeting, everyone is super overwhelmed, especially the new team members. They don't know everything about each other's position, and then you just start with like, okay, now we're gonna discuss these things. I think it's important to beforehand have like 1 day to really chill, get to know each other. And of course, this is not possible for everyone because if you're working, coming 1 day earlier might not be possible for you. But still, providing at least the opportunity to meet up, to get to know each other, to really have that maybe informal connection, because you have like a super formal team meeting where you have minutes and everything and where you maybe are not sure on what to say and how the speaking order goes. Just getting to know each other and then bonding during the event. Especially for us, we had the first team meeting online, which also made it a lot different. And I think in general, having like a first team meeting live and making sure that every team member is coming and is like motivated to come is super essential for the initial team building.
EPA candidate, thank you for the question. I have talked to past position holders and the way they approached this was very much in collaboration with the president. So I would firstly try to have a strategy with the president-elect now, and then start as soon as possible, because as Kathy said, it should be that we're already feeling like a team, or at least a group of people that belong to each other before the first team meeting. Which means a part of the team is already starting to get elected now. Try to make introductions, try to get to know everybody, hang out, try to connect on a more personal and informal level, and then keeping this up during the handover period. it should be planned out a lot of the handover period in the structural points, but also making sure that this is not only structural but interrupted in between with fun and personal bonding times.
Thank you. Next on the speaking list we have Carolina.
Carolina, PA 2122. Good luck, girls. My question is, you and the president have different opinions on how you should deal with the vice president who is disturbing the work of the whole executive. How do you agree on how to solve the problem with the vice chairperson?
Marlene, VPA candidate, I would firstly try to find out why the opinion is different. Is there maybe something that we have a baseline agreement on and just don't agree on the execution? Is there something that we just having our opinions differentiate in general? And if we come to a common conclusion, if we have a baseline of opinion, then we can always like discuss the details and find out who to how to approach this. If there is a general baseline of if there is general no common agreement, I do see the possibility to openly discuss this within executive, because the executive is also a safe place for everyone to share their own opinion and tackle a problem.
Next, Kati.
Kati, Vice President and Internal Affairs candidate. Agree with Marlene's answer, and additionally, first discuss with the president why are these differences occurring, whether they are objective, subjective. Of course, you do not like everyone, and these problems might occur as well. Really objectively looking at what is disturbing the communication, in order to really say whether put your personal feelings aside, really have a clear answer on this, and then if you cannot feel common ground, if you cannot find any common ground between them, also head to the executive. Eventually you are one executive and discuss it within them. Maybe other people in the executive might be having the same problems, maybe they have a super different view. And additionally also, if it is especially with the executive or whether it is within the team, it should also be discussed within the department that the vice president is in. Because these these coordinators are also in a close communication with the vice president, and their opinions should be taken into account as well.
Thank you. Technical from Apef.
Elena of Portugal. Sorry, can I quickly go to the toilet?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Next on the speaking list we have Asef.
Valentine Asif, Switzerland. Our question is, how would you ensure that your work and your department align with the general direction, so EPSA's vision and EPSA's strategic plan, in comparison to the other EPSA departments? And yeah.
Sorry, I got confused. Kati, Vice President of Internal Affairs candidate. Well, first, sorry, could you repeat the question? I got confused. Just in 1 second. It's fine.
Yes,
So, Valentine Asif, Switzerland. Our question was, how will you ensure that your work and your department align with the general EPSA's direction, so EPSA's vision and EPSA's strategic plan?
Kathy, Vice President of Internal Affairs. Thank you for repeating the question. I think in the beginning it's super essential to discuss this within the whole department. The Internal Affairs department is a bit different than all other departments because we don't really have projects. More or less, we have people to handle. We have RCs, we have our alumni, we have LSs. We are really social position, and even though this is incorporated in the strategic plan, it's not essentially like it's highlighted as EPSA should aim to have every member represented by the Council of Europe in EPSA and have them as active members. Having them active, making events, this is highlighted in the EPSA strategic plan. But there is no specific thing like, normally the EPSA strategic plan is super specific, like have this organized, like have that organized, have this amount of activities, have that amount of activities. The Internal Affairs department is really different in that way. And my experience within the department showed me that we should maintain the contact with the members, and that is the most essential part of our position.
Lena, VPA candidate, thank you for your question. I would start out with making sure they understand what the strategic plan is, and that it's not just a document somewhere we have lying around, but it's actually something we can work with, which we did during the 13 meeting as a team, and proved very, very beneficial to find something that we can all agree on and align on. And doing this while or before people are writing their plans of action and supporting them in writing their plans of actions and formulating their KPIs in the beginning of the mandate ensures that we all agree on where we should go together. This also means not in comparison with all our other departments, but also in collaboration with other departments, because we should be in constant, if every vice president does this with their coordinators, and we discuss it as a team, either before or during the first team meeting, we all have the same knowledge about what the strategic plan is. We all hopefully understand how to work with it, and we all now know what is even the mission and vision and what is the strategic plan and how can we work towards.
Thank you. Next question is from Maeva.
Yes, this sorry, Maeva, the coordinator asking. Is it? Okay. Maeva, the coordinator asking a question on behalf of Patrick alumnus. As previously mentioned, the amount of application is not stunning. Ideally, every position, 2 candidates or more, you know. How will you, as first contact person to the EPSA team, motivate the LSs to promote the EPSA team positions in their association for the current empty position and the election of next year, to make sure that we will have a greater influx of fresh people into the EPSA team to ensure fresh vision and ways of thinking and enriching the EPSA team?
Marlene, EPA candidate. Thank you, Patrick, for the question. Apart from what Gabriel already said during his answers, because of course the visions of the president and the official vice president of the associations should be aligned, I would also find out, do the LSs understand the portfolio of the positions that they actually should promote? Because if they don't understand what they're promoting, it's very hard to find new people if the first contact that most likely will either be the Vice President of Internal Affairs or the LS. If they don't can explain what their goal is and what the portfolio includes as a whole, then all answers or all interests will die off very quickly.
Thank you. Next, Kati.
Kati, Vice President of Internal Affairs candidate. Well, first of all, also discuss this with the current president-elect, because our opinion should align on this, and also we should discuss the plan on how to fill these positions. Additionally, contacting LSs and making sure that they are aware how essential it is to have a good and functioning EPSA team as soon as possible. We don't want to have any EPSA team members joining 1 week prior to the team meeting, because then they feel like they're kind of being dropped into the team. They don't know really how to prepare. They didn't have time for the handover, and this is quite difficult when you really are actively starting your position after the first team meeting. So also ensuring that the LSs are aware that it's really urgent for them to find members interested in events, and also actively ask, how can we help you guys with providing the information to the participants? Because if your mandate has been in a couple of months ago, it's quite difficult to really be able to provide the applicants with the information that they require.
Thank you. Next we have Asep. Drop. Abel.
Josué from Portugal. We would like to know what distinguishes you as the right candidate for the position.
Kati.
Kati, Vice President of Internal Affairs candidate. I think this is a really difficult question, because I think we are both good candidates, we are both good friends as well, and we are competition, but I don't feel like we are competition because we will both be super fit for the position. And I think we have different qualities. For example, Marlene, she has been in EPSA way longer than I have, and I know that. But still, I have a lot of different experience in the department, and I've been in contact with the LSs a lot during this mandate, and that's one of the super essential part of the position as well. And I've been full-time executive member in the KPSV, which really proved that I can be involved in every single project that one association has, because that is required when you're a full-time executive member, and the things I gained during that year will also be useful during this mandate as Vice President of Internal Affairs if I get elected.
Marlene, VPA candidate. When we heard that we're both running, I also thought about this a lot, and I would bring to the table my past experience as an executive member, because I would be the only one of the current executive that would actually continue, and I think this would be would also provide a stable handover and more continuity to the whole position. Apart from that, I tried to make my portfolio focused on members, but also taking into account all other tasks that VPAA, as the Vice President of the association, has to take into account. And I would also be actively able to step up, as I already have experience of being the president of an association, although a local one.
Thank you. Maeva, did you have a sign for direct? It's one new point. No, direct.
Maeva, alumni coordinator, direct on behalf of Patrick. What do you think? Thank you for your answer, but what do you think is the most important difference? Could you name one particular distinction that makes you a better candidate than the other candidates?
Marlene, VPA candidate. I do think that I just highlighted our differences, which would be me already having been in an executive position within EPSA, and already also being able to step up and support the president, because having already the experience as being president before.
Kathy, Vice President and Internal Affairs candidate. I believe that the biggest distinguishes that Marlene has experience within the executive and that I have experience within the department. I feel like experience in the executive is super essential, but it is essential for every position in the executive. You could really formulate it in for SecGen or for president, for basically every other position in executive. You think it's beneficial to be in the executive? Well, I've been in the department, and I think having some continuity in the department is super essential, because as Vice President of Internal Affairs, you're actively involved with all the projects of all the people in the department, which also involves the events coordinator. And often events coordinators do not have that much experience with organizing EPSA events, and during my mandate it's proven super beneficial to also have a past events coordinator in the department, which would always provide me with the necessary information, especially in the beginning of the mandate. And this also helps with knowledge transfer and making sure that everything is followed up on, even though it is not written down.
Hannah, CPSA Croatia. Sorry. So I wanted to know if you think that the position of VPIA can do anything to help LSs engage students on a national level to participate in EPSA events and EPSA opportunities? And if there is such a thing, what do you think the main point would be? Thank you.
I just want to make sure between the candidates, to me, you answered this question multiple times. Yes. CPSA? Rephrase would be a better idea.
Yeah. Hannah, CPSA Croatia, so I think that you mostly talked about how you would keep in contact with the LSs, but I was wondering if there is anything in particular that you could help the LSs with to motivate students on a national level, because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've heard such a thing today. I've just heard talk about the LSs and not about how the VPI could help LSs to promote everything and bring EPSA closer to their students. I hope that's clearer now.
It's okay, it's okay. It's just to make sure that in the meantime, please pay attention to the discussion and the other questions that have been answered before, so we would not repeat the same ideas all over and all over again. We want to be efficient since there are many other positions and candidates following up. First, we have Kati.
Kati, Vice President of Internal Affairs candidate. I feel like first understanding what the problem is with the LSs in some, or what the problem they have on a national level with making members active. In some cases, members are automatically active and they always come with a super big delegation to events, while other delegations are just super small, and it's super difficult for the LS to really motivate members, because EPSA is just super unknown. They don't know what EPSA is. They don't know why they should come, because you say like, hey, go to European Congress, and they're like, why should I go? So first, making sure that the LS knows how to effectively transfer the knowledge and transfer it in a fun way, that also the members that have no clue what EPSA is might be like, oh, that sounds interesting. Oh, I would like to go there. Even though they might not know everything about what an EPSA event looks like, you have to be really engaging, and I think it's super important to understand why is it on a national level difficult to motivate members? Because if you don't understand this, each approach is differently. Each approach per association should differ among the associations. So first, understanding why they are having problems is essential for helping the LSs.
Marlene, DPI candidate, thank you for the question. I would go back to the individual approach, because every member association might want to also focus on the different things, what they want to promote to member. Do they want to have a stronger focus on advocacy related topics? Do they want to have a stronger focus on professional development, like check with professionals, career fair, and so on? And then seeing where the problem lies and trying to either specifically promote, is there too little information? Is the information given out too late? And this could be also, if it's known that the association has had a longer struggle with this in the past, this could be also mentioned in the body allocation. And you, for example, if it's wish that the association would like to get more involved with advocacy, then it would be good that the body would be, for example, someone from the EA department, whoever then wants to also be their role, either advocacy coordinator, EPA, whoever.
Seconded.
We have a 9.3 proposed by Apple Portugal, seconded by PPSA Poland. I open the floor for discussion on the 9.3. I close the floor for discussion, then we will proceed to voting on the 9.3. So, who abstains? Who is against? Who is for? Who is for? Please raise your voting cards up high.
You didn't say abstain, that's where synopsis is not a part. Just in case you're looking for that.
I have 0 abstentions, 0 against, 22 for. Sorry.
They never asked if you went from straight to against. No, I said abstentions. First,
I'll do the voting again. So I close the floor for discussion on the 9.3 and we resume to voting. So, who abstains? Who abstains? We have 1 vote for abstention. Then who is against? Who is for? I have 22 votes for, 1 abstention, 0 would like to ask the candidates to say their closing speech. First was Marlene, so now I'll ask Kati to go first with her closing speech.
Kati, Vice President, Interim First Candidate. I want to thank you all for the questions you asked. They've also been useful for us as candidates to answer, to provide you with the information. And I would like to thank you for the application. I hope I've given you the right answers, and I hope that I've proven that I would be fit for the candidacy for this position. And I would like to ask all of you to make the decision for yourself. We have proposers and seconders, but please stick with your own opinion. Think about who you would like to see in the position, because it's essential for you. You are Alessis, you are these. Who would you like to have coordinate you? And please stick with your own opinion. You have known us. We are not unknown candidates. You cannot say, I will rely on the opinion of of someone else in the room, because you know us. We are not unknown, so please vote for yourself and don't get affected by any of the opinions in the room.
Next, Marlene. Marlene, BPA candidate, fully agreeing with Kati. But also I wanted to add on this and keep it short and sweet. I hope that my work in the past has shown you what I'm capable of, and that whatever I do, I will always strive to do it to the best of my abilities and put 100% in everything I do. And for this, if getting elected, I will further the goals of EPSA. Thank you for considering our applications.
Thank you so much for the